Hey everybody. So let's get to a couple things here. Let's get this set up properly. And this is going to be a new test, and then I'm going to be curious about everything. This is July 14th. Let me know if you like the evening better than the day. I already had some people saying they liked it better when I do a recap. I can always do a recap myself while we're doing this. But I just thought that this might be more fun to just give it a shot and see how it goes at night versus during the day. But you're going to have to let me know what you think and where to go with it. I'm going to drop the link in a couple spots, and then we'll begin. Let me just drop this to recently viewed, so you guys can all see over here what I've been reviewing, and we can go from there. So let's start there, and let me just grab this right here and begin on this, and grab this and drop this down to observations to charts. So here, and go, oops, that's in the wrong room. Bear with me. I'm dropping it in the trading room. There's a link in the description for those that are going to ask about the trading room and what goes on in there. And there's a link to join and to preview live now. Okay. So that's done. And let me just put this on the Twitterverse as well, and we can get started. So for me, I really think going over the indexes in and of itself is going to be huge, and going after earnings and what's going on there is going to be huge. So let's we'll get into all that for sure. But earnings season is going to be huge, especially with like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. It's all starting. And I think you need to really focus on what they're saying, especially like what JP Morgan said today. It's kind of interesting, but, to me anyway, it's interesting. Them cutting all buybacks is interesting. And there we are. Boom, done. Great. So, all right, we're posted and we're good, and let's rock and roll. Hey, Emily. Yeah, it was a crazy day. Hey, what's going on, Clutch? So what do I mean by BPA? Buy price area is BPA. What are you reading, the newsletter? It's right in the newsletter. Yeah, the BPA is buy price area. Instead of giving an exact price, I'll say, hey, this is the area that I would look at where I would buy it. That's what I would focus on. So, yeah, everyone's a little too excited about today. I mean, we're going to get into that. Like, I'll get into it now just on this. So, I mean, is that something to really be excited about? We really didn't do much. I guess the fact that we didn't fall off the face of the earth has gotten people a little bit excited. Now, one of the things that is interesting to me is that you're starting to see more stuff like this. You're starting to see like the private equity guys stepping up, or the activist investors going and saying, hey, we have a huge stake in your company, and we're going to force the sale, or we're going to try to force the sale. So if you look at this low, Elliott investors came out and said this, they want to talk to them about how they can lock in value, right? So if you look in from this section, they take pins, right? And you see that you're basing, that this is where they took that 10% position. So that their position's in here. So if we just took the low of it, 16, and then let's just take this high of 24, right? That you're in there roughly somewhere. So let's just say their average cost is $20. They're going to try and sell it and make 20%. So they're going to try to get 25, 30, whatever they can get for it, obviously, but that's what they're looking for. So if they can get something like that, that's a home run for them. It's an absolute home run, and that could happen. The fact that you're starting to see more of that is interesting. This was something that we bought in the trading room, and look at that flag that they put themselves up for sale. They appointed somebody, and if you go back and take a look at this and where it was at 40, falling off after the pandemic, never coming back, right? That's why it's so important to watch these pandemic lows. Like, look, Look at where you stopped at. I mean, it's crazy how accurate these, like watch the pandemic lows and all these names that you're trading right now, because they are trying to stop there. You are seeing that. Anyway, point being, this company is going to sell itself. So you're seeing companies go out there and put themselves on the market. But I did not think that this was anything to get overly excited about. I really didn't. I like that we held the line. Don't get me wrong. This is where we bounced last time. But there's some signs out there that you need to be really concerned. Like this broke the trend line. This broke the trend line. If you bring down the SPY, and we can zoom out, but if you bring down the SPY, you opened and closed below the trend line, open and close below the trend line. I mean, that's not up for debate. It's not. I mean, you look at that chart and you're going to get excited about this day. I mean, look, maybe you hold in here and then maybe this pushes and goes higher. I don't know of any time that this pattern has ever held, frankly. Just looking at that pattern, I don't know of any time. I mean, so first time for everything, but that's a pretty nasty pattern. You have the trend line right up here coming straight down on you. You try to get to a couldn't, rejection, lower highs, right? I mean, you can see the lower highs. Then you have to make a decision. You made it. And people are excited because we're up. Like, you're not really up, right? So I'd be careful. The one bright spot I thought was this, and I was surprised it happened. It was just the clear outperformance on the rally here. I mean, now you're still kind of like down, obviously, but not from the open. And the actual bounce from 167, that was pretty impressive today. So we'll see how that goes. But just watch, let me give you a couple things to watch. You're going to have to watch the 10-year and see how this is playing out. Right now, I'm having a hard time with that trend line. And if you put the 50 in, I use simple moving averages, you can see that battle, right? You can see that battle. So you're going to have to watch that, okay? That's definitely something that you're going to have to watch and take a look at and see if that makes a difference. But for me, I would focus on this. And the other thing we were talking about in the trading room, and let's go over it just so you kind of get it. See this line right here? I've been talking about this in the videos too. You need to watch this, but it's just not working. It's just really not working where you're trying to rally and then you're falling, but this should have broken. And then the market should have rallied. And that's not what happened at all. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite happened, where this actually broke out and tried to get back up. We don't really need the indicators, but you can see what I'm talking about there. So you need to watch this and watch this like a hawk, because if this starts taking out higher highs and bouncing, the market can get absolutely slammed. So that's definitely what I would be focused on with people. And yeah, I mean, I agree. What's going on, Brian? Hey, Brandon. So trying an evening live stream instead of the morning live stream, seeing how it's going to go. Some people have already said to me, comment on it, let me know. Some people have already said to me they prefer just the top 5 and then the live stream in the morning. We'll see how this goes, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But let's see here. Yeah, there was flim-flam all day. I mean, everything. Look, any way they could trigger a stop, they did. Even I got triggered on this, which is just so annoying. Because I know, even if it rolls up, it's going to just roll right back. But you have to honor the stop, because if you don't, then you're stuck in the trade while it goes all the way up. Then you're waiting for it to roll back down. It could take like a month, and you can't really be playing with that. What if it is a hammer and it does start breaking out and get to 120 and you're still short? Like, you don't want to be that person. So, for me, that's a big deal. Now, if you take a look at this and these trend lines right here, you see how this is going. And you click on this and the trend lines, you can kind of see where you're at roughly. Bonk, bonk, broke it, kind of got to that line. Kind of interesting, right? But I do want to point something out. I mentioned this, and I'm not saying everybody's going to get there, but you start looking at these pandemic lows, and I do think that names like this could be in for more pain. I I just think you have to be really careful right now. I don't think anything's clear. I did very little today, and I did very little in the trading room. And I was like a cat in a hot tin roof. Like I see I was asked about BPT. Look, I'll give you this piece of advice on this. This usually puts in a short-term bottom, whether it's one day or whether it's months. But once that dividend's released because it's so big, you usually get the buyers that step back in that want to, trade it up for the next dividend. That was not the case back here when oil was cheaper, nor back here. But okay, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Now, the issue now is that oil is coming in. Oil prices are coming in. So people may have been trying to hold this for the last dividend, but this dropped way more than that last dividend. So this is where you closed, okay? And that is where you opened, down $2.67. The dividend was only $1.40. So if you were short coming into this morning and you had to pay that $1.40 dividend, you really didn't care because you still made, right, $4. So you could care less about that dividend. You really don't care. So something to think about, but that's kind of surprising. Now the question is what happens with it? Well, a couple things. That's support level and you're holding it. So we want to make sure that we hold that level, right? That's one of the first key things. We just want to make sure that we stay there and that we hold that level. Now, if we do, maybe we can build a base and start going up. But this is resistance now. So, you're between 16 to 18, unless something else happens. That's what you're between. So we have to really just kind of watch it and see how it plays out. Now, I do like the name. Even if oil's at $90, the dividend's 90 cents roughly. I mean, I'm still making $360 on the dividend a year. I'm still getting, 20%. The dividend's ridiculous when you think about it. The problem is that the stock is just getting crushed. So it makes it hard. But usually the time to buy it is right after something like this. But just watch it. Just be a little careful. And we'll go from there. So what's going on? Whew. Yeah, Daniel, I hope that was clear. Daniel, I think I've asked before, where's that photo from that's in your profile photo? It's beautiful, wherever it is. What levels to watch? Here, I'll give you the level. Got to watch that 1531. You got within 5 cents of it today. You break that, you got to get out of the way. And then wait for another setup. It's that simple. So it's really that simple. I mean, all there was flim flam today. Breakout and breakdowns on both sides. So let's go. Can you get over a small 3-day trend? KOP, just a short squeeze. Let's go through this. KOPN. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like the little guys. Everybody knows that. It doesn't mean that it can't work. Look at all these lines. Let's get rid of all that. And let's get rid of this and start talking about this. I mean, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Right? So you have to get above that if you want to play this little guy. You got a trend line, right? So then you come here and just see where you're at in regards to things. You're above the 50. Where's your 200? You're definitely nowhere near that, right? Where's the 21? Okay. We know we're above the 5, and we know we're above the 10. So we really don't need to put those in, right? Now you could look at like RSI and see, make sure RSI is over 50. It is, okay? It's actually pretty high, and it's pointing up. I mean, that's really what you want. And then what you would do is just kind of take a look at volume. Now you got a little bit of volume, but I mean, nothing I'd go crazy with. I'm kind of curious about this. Yeah, you're in the cloud. So that's how I would view it. But I wouldn't go nuts. I wouldn't go crazy until I'm over that level. But you can look at that. You could play around with that if you wanted to. Um, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can't even get over. Like, you're 100% right about what he's saying. What Yeti's saying is right. You can't even get over like a trend line. And I shorted into this. I mean, that was where my head was with it. Not this name, but like I shorted Apple up here today. I just don't see what is just so exciting about this. Like, if you got rid of all this, all the data, all these lines, right? I mean, you have retail sales coming in tomorrow. This is your trend line. I mean, maybe you could argue that the higher high could trigger us. Maybe you could make that argument, right? And that this is your low now. I mean, that could be the case and say, hey, this is the anomaly. This really shouldn't be there. That was the 2 days. You have your long-legged doji down there. It answered it. This is support now. We're going to base and try to start moving and try to go higher. I mean, some stocks are basing. It could happen. So I would watch that. Could it happen? Yes, it could. But I agree with you 100%. What's going on, Christopher? Yeah, I agree. There was, I agree. This was awful news, and CPI was awful. So I'm trying to figure out if this isn't going to break it, is it the earnings when they come out and everybody realizes how absolutely awful they are? I agree with that. Like, what's going to crack us? And I've been through 4 of these now. 3, let's call it 3, right? Because 2000, 2008, there was an issue in 98, but not like this. And 18 wasn't really anything. Sorry about that. Taking a drink of energy drink. So my thought is that, yeah, I agree with that. And what the things that you usually see, the first signs that you usually see is you see insiders buy. Well, you're seeing insiders start to buy names. This guy bought Best Buy right out of pocket, right? I mean, he bought stock. I tried to trade off that buy. It didn't work. I sold it. But it's not working. And that's what you have to do. You just have to realize, no, hey, it's not working. So, but you're seeing things like that. You're seeing people buy Best Buy. Bill Gurley bought, the other day came out, he bought 1 million shares of stock in Stitch Fix. Well, why is he doing that? Well, he's not doing that because he thinks that it's going to go, how can I say this to you? He's not doing that because he thinks it's going to go down. He thinks they're going to get bought, or they're going to do some kind of restructuring and they're going to cut costs and the stock's going to go back to $10, right? Like, you have to think about who the buyer is. Like, when someone like Bill Gurley, who is like super VC kind of guy, a long-term kind of thinker and planner, and you look at what these guys do for a living, right? And then they go out there and they put money in. They're not looking for it to pop it. They don't trade like I do. They're not trying to get out on a Tuesday, right? Or want to be flat on the weekend. They're basically saying in 3 months, we're going to lay off 10% of the workforce or whatever they're saying, and we're going to do this. And that's why the stock is moving. And that's the point that I'm getting at. So that's what I would focus on. And that would be where my head would go with this. So keep that in mind. You are seeing insiders buy stock. You are seeing the vulture funds, as I always used to refer to them, step in and dig through the bones, right? They are buying companies like this. Okay. They filed a 10K. They know how to do it too. They make sure that they're in actually lower down here being buyers. And then they make the announcement on the last small 1% or 50 basis points to move it. And then they file because they know they're going to get a pop on it. So, I mean, they're not dumb. They're certainly not dumb. But when you start seeing insiders buying stock, you start seeing venture funds start buying stock. Yeah, you kind of have to pay attention. Now, I'm still leaning short, but I look at Apple today. I'm short Apple. I'm not sure that's the best move, but I'm about to find out. And I've got real easy levels that are going to tell me if I'm wrong, right? I won't even wait for that to see if I'm wrong. So I won't even wait for that. But retail sales could be disastrous tomorrow. But iPhone sales are supposed to be up. We'll see. How much is priced in right now, right? You got JP Morgan out there with numbers that are just really low on the SPY, saying it's going to come down to 3,600. You got people saying you could see 3,000. I don't think you're going to see 3,000, but you're not cracking. You're not cracking on these numbers, and these numbers were bad. So keep that in mind. If you want, we can go through some like the PPI numbers and the CPI numbers. I have no problem doing it, but they were not good numbers. They were not numbers that you should be looking at and going, oh, thank God that's what came out. Like, that's a relief. Like, they were bad. It clearly shows that CPI is going up because of PPI and the prices of things being harder. So, but, that could be part of the excitement. What's going on, Dylan? Yep. Let's do the ETFs. Let's do this right now. TQQ. Yep, something like this. Here, let me just get rid of the segment lines. And let's just look at this and go from here. So see where you're wedged in? I don't see anything to do here. I really don't. This is one of the things I was trying to get people to do today in the trading room, which was do nothing. Like, there was nothing, very little to do here. There's stuff to scalp. I mean, the best trade was probably Apple off the open. But then you kind of had to assume that news was going to be, good. I mean, that's really where you were at, but I don't know. But something like this, you're going to have to watch. You're just going to have to watch this and see how it goes. For me, you're wedged in. Like, nothing's defined here, nothing. And I can tell you from my own experience, when you see things like that, you need to be careful. I didn't do anything with these today. They were not my kind of trades. That's a rejection. That's a clear rejection. Here, look at this, Till. You can see it from this spot. So, I mean, that's a clear rejection of that line. Doesn't get any clearer, right? So right on the 50, lower low, I mean, one break and this can go. So if you were to look at this and say which way the market's going, you'd have to assume it's going down, right? The 21 is probably curling, right? So you're below the 21. That's going to start curling. I mean, that could be, they could be signs. You're trying to get above the 21 there, and you're basing. So you're gonna have to see, but yeah, you could be there. You could be basing here, and this definitely could be the bottom. It's really tough to call a bottom, but that's a pretty easy line to use right here. Is you even use this doji and use the low of that doji as a stop. What is that? 22.75. I mean, you'd be in for $2. I mean, that's nothing to be in the index, and God knows where it could go. Something to really think about. So that can definitely happen. I don't see anything definitive there. Any idea what yeah, I think you just have big short sellers and people, and sometimes people think things are overdone. Look, when you went through this in like 2000, what people need to realize is the bad companies still were bad companies, and they still went out of business when the markets went flat. Even when the markets came back, the bad companies still went out of business. They still went to zero. So I don't see anything redeeming about that. I don't know why everyone's all excited. Let's just look at it from this perspective. You made a higher high. I mean, that's what is that the excitement? Or, it's very difficult for me to look at something like this that can't break above its 50-day, and you're kind of wedged in here between both of them. And I'm supposed to be excited because I opened at 2064, right? So I opened down and then I closed here. So I actually moved a whole dollar. Like, what am I excited about? You know, I don't see it, and I don't see anything redeeming about this chart. Like, nothing. I mean, am I supposed to be happy that it tried to break, didn't, heading up, and now we're going to see if it goes here? 24.20. So I just don't see anything redeeming about it at all. You know, are earnings coming out? I mean, between all, you know, these companies, no one, or they're already having delinquency issues, major delinquency issues. They were talking about it goes to 23 this week before the split. I have no idea. I try not to analyze what's going to happen. So do I think it goes to 2,300 before the split? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, if you want to know if it's going to do that or not, first thing it's got to do is this. That much I know. So if I can't even get over that doji, it should. I mean, if you're looking at this trend line, it should hold, right? That should hold. We just have to see if it does. Do you think Google goes out to 2,300 before the split? And we answered that. Zane. Thoughts on leaps out to November and December? Yep. I've been telling people that, Bobby, on I've been telling people that left and right on the what the heck is it? On the leaps on LABU. We had some people that did it in the room where they bought the 10s going out to January 23rd, the 2023s. I think this is a home run. I mean, I really do. I didn't see any reason that you had to do anything today with it because I don't know what retail sales are going to do tomorrow, and they really concern me. Hopefully I'm wrong and it means nothing. But something like this, yeah. I mean, you know, gosh, we were doing it down here. We started. What would I do now with it? Yeah, absolutely. I'd be looking at buying, you know, at this point, maybe I wait for it to break. If you don't want to wait for it to break, just print it and then use that wick line as your stop. But yeah, I mean, look, you have 6 months, and 6 months, just so we're clear, 6 months ago, right? And I just want to put it in perspective. This is where you were January 1st, okay? 40. You're at 9, 10, right? If this curls and I just made up half the distance between these lines, right? There's no way that I can't just go up 10 points. I mean, there's no way I can't just these literally go up 10 points like it's nothing and still be down 50%. That's what I'm saying. I could go up 10 points and still be up or still be down 50% on the year. So when you let that think in, you know, to me, it's like, wow, you know, it really is. But yeah, I would do that. DRV, you know, these housing names, why aren't they cracking the way they should be cracking? Why aren't they really cracking the way they should be cracking? And that's what I don't have an answer for it. I watched this. We got up to this level today, and then we just didn't break. So the 50 seems to be the spot to buy those, right? I mean, that seems to be the area to invest in there. I would look at the 50 on that. I wouldn't be chasing that. Yeah, I just sold right into it. I wasn't going to wait because of retail sales tomorrow. If retail sales are bad tomorrow, you're not even going to get a chance to short that. So that's why I did it. You know, I personally hold on. Let me do one thing real quick. I apologize. So one of the key things here is this close. This is one of the best closes we've had since back here, since June. So this is a great close over the 50. Like, this doesn't get any better. This is curling up. See, that's the other thing that's starting to happen here. The right side of these charts are building. So, and the shorts are not working the way that they did. When they're breaking down, they're not breaking down like they once did. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but like I was screwing around with this today. And when I got up to this level, I put this trade on. I think I'm flat on it now, maybe down a little bit. Being shorted, I bought a bunch of puts. But my thought process was if retail sales are good and it shows that the consumer is still out there, then we have high inflation still, but we have a consumer that doesn't care. So that means that these stocks will go up and that the equity markets could go up. If retail sales is bad, then it's going to say, hey, we have recessionary problems here. And based upon those recessionary problems, this is what's going to happen. So that's the flip side of that. So that's the side that I'm looking at. And that's the side that I would be concerned about. So I hope that helps. But yeah, I like that as a short. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I do. I get that a lot. I understand that price cut. The people still have earnings up on the year, like on their estimates for the S&P, so which is kind of staggering. I don't know how you could look at that and think that we look good. Like, I don't see it. So let's go through this. Let me give you. So here's something that you should be thinking about doing. I do this all day long. So what you do is you just sort, right? Now these are the top sectors of the S&P. You put them over there and you put the S&P in there with it. And then all you do is just click this button, change, right? And then you can see who's leading and who's the worst. Well, they are selling energy, they are selling financial companies, and they are buying tech. Now, this XLK, we know that two stocks make up 40% of that, right? 40% of that is what? Apple, okay, and Microsoft. All right. So does that really look like a chart you want to buy? So no. So then now you're buying Apple. Okay. So what's the next group that's up? Staples. Okay. All the other major sectors, I think I have 9 in there. You think I use the nine of them is what I use. I don't even put XBI in there because it's so underweighted. But I could throw it in there, I guess. But just so we can look at it and compare it to what it's doing, considering that I have it in the newsletter and it is crushing it. Man, let me just throw it in there so that we can see it. You're about to modify a watch list. Yeah, I get that. Thank you. So yeah, we can see that today. That didn't do too well today, but actually didn't do well at all today. But what I'm getting at is by sorting these out, you can see what's going on. But utilities are selling down still. They're still down on the day. Healthcare. So what exactly are they buying, right? I mean, does that look remotely attractive? Industrials? Like, so the point that I'm getting at with this is if you look at this market, and I would recommend that everybody does that exercise daily, at least once a day. If you look at this market and you look at these names, it is so difficult to believe that these names are going to, not roll over again. But weirder things have happened. So you're going to have to honor your stops. And that's why I keep saying it's a really weird time. The majority of trades that I've been doing are in things like TLT, because I think that we're going to be back on the bond market, could be back up to 125, 130 by the end of the year. Okay, so that was a really easy trade for me to make 10 or 15% on. Nothing crazy. This SGR, it's trading under book value. Okay. I don't care what the market does. They're up for sale. Bank of, they're going to get sold. This thing's going to go to 15. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I would start looking at names like that are starting to get insiders buying, institutional buying. If you want to play this, Oxy, and you're a long-term player, buy some stock, leave it alone. Right? One day, Uncle Warren's just going to write a check. Just a question of at what price. So, it's just a matter of time, but that's going to happen. So that's how I would play it. So I hope that helps. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I think it was good. What's up, Timo? XBI. I'm kind of liking doing this more in the morning than the evening, but comment on it. Let me know if you like this in the evening. I think I'm leaning more towards doing this in the AM and doing a recap at the end of the day, but it doesn't matter. I'm just kind of curious what everybody thinks. So, yep, I broke out XBI. It looks great. I have a position in it. I'm doing nothing with it. I'm going to add as soon as it clears this level, 86.25. Show me sectors that are doing this. Show me sectors that have 2150 crosses, right? So I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's go to those sectors and look through them again real quick, right? Below the 50. Below the 50. See where I'm going with this? I'm not going to say the names of all of them. And which one's up? Okay, that's a no-brainer trade. That tells you who's got the highest relative strength of any sector. It's why I put one of the reasons why I wanted to put it in there. So who's got the highest relative strength of any sector out there in the S&P right now? Biotech. Okay. Even if you're not part of the trading group and you're following along, in the newsletters that come out, and if you aren't, I'd recommend that you get the newsletter. There's a free version of it, so you can just follow along. But what are the names that we're in that are holding up or that were up $10, $15, right? These kinds of names. Okay, now it's up like $6, but it's not down. And look at how these are widening on VRTX. Right? What hit highs of days today? High of the day today. That was awful. You see how you held that 50 and that 21? Amgen, okay? These kinds of names, you need a database. One of the things that is really extremely helpful, I noticed with the trading group, is as they get better, they're coming out with better ideas. They're understanding when things are getting constructive and the right-hand side of the trade's building up. Look at this MVIS somebody found in the trading room. Like, this is getting set to break. So you're seeing more and more of these kinds of names, and I expect them to work. That's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards biotech. I'm not leaning towards I need to be in semiconductors. NVIDIA is going to do whatever NVIDIA is going to do, but right now the 21 days has been an issue. I'm not going to get excited because NVIDIA went up 2 days in a row. Like, I'm not going to do it. Get a higher high and then give me a spot where I could be in this and then see if it's going to work. Right? That's what I would do. It's how I would look at that if I was looking long term. XBI. CRISP. Yep. So CRISP I like a lot. Let's go take a look at that, Jacob. So CRISP I like a lot. I walked through this trade actually yesterday in it. I'll walk through it again. So this was a really simple trade. When we gapped down, here and we actually put this trade on. I'm not going to walk through it again for time purposes, but my point being is, yeah, we took advantage of that, bought it. I traded it out when it went flat. Some people stayed in it. I bought more on this break right here. Break didn't work, and now I'm back down again. So, I'm down in that one trade, down like $1, maybe a little more. So, no, $1. So that's where I'm at with it. It's not, look, this is what it is. It's not that type of environment, but let me show you something just so you can kind of see this. Then we'll go to this RBLX first. Like, what's really going on here? Like, that's not really doing anything, right? This was on my list, and I wanted to see it break out, and then you want to see it close. And this is the one thing that still has me concerned about the market. All they're doing is giving us breakouts to knock us down. That's all they're doing. And, it's even a concern with biotech. So I just watch this. So if you wanted to be in this, you've really too, if you're looking at this flag and saying, I want to be in that flag, which is nasty, right? I mean, that is a nasty flag, right? Then you have to look at this 35.78 and this and say, that's your range. Okay. That's your range. Now you have to decide if you're going to be in that or you're not going to be in that, right? I mean, because you can't say the flag's broke until you're below that doji. You can't say it's clear till you're above that. So how do you play that? I mean, you almost have to use like the higher high and then close over it and then work your way up and then just keep getting chopped up if it doesn't work. But if this rolls, you don't want to be in this, right? You do not want to be in that if that rolls. And you've already broken that line. So it's telling you that the move up might already be over. Now, if you take a look at something like RBLX, which I actually had in like a top 10 list because I thought it had a chance of going, you can kind of see that you kind of had an issue there before. So right in here, support and resistance, we had a little fight going on right in that area, right? Think of these as areas, not just exact numbers. I like looking at the exact numbers, but you can see it right in there. So forget about everything that's above you, right? That it doesn't matter right now. This is your core issue, and you have to deal with that issue. That's how I would view it. All right. I mean, that's how I would view that. FFIE. FFIE. I don't know that one well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they do, but that's what you're looking for. It forms a flag, breaks out of that flag, and goes. Did you have a lot of volume? Yeah, you had volume on the breakout. I mean, that's what you're looking for. Look, that's what you want to see. They're the kinds of moves that you want to see. And when you see them, take advantage of them on the break. I mean, do you want to pay up 10% for it now? Probably not. I mean, would I buy that here? No, I would not. That's got train wreck written all over it. Like it could just roll again. You still have this downtrend. So all these people that are in here are excited because they get to get out now. And they've been in here since March. And all they want to do is get their money back, right? They thought they lost their money and now they get to get it back, right? And this is from January. So you can already see the next level. So I would just watch it. I'd be real careful, but that's not something I'd be going hog wild in. You had your chance to like speculate on it. Very similar to like this. What is that? CLLN? I got to find that one that was moving today. I thought that was it. I'll find it. But there was one that was flying today. It was like $4. It broke out and then it just lured everybody in, and then the bottom fell out of it. And you're seeing that a lot, and you're seeing a lot of these. Like I have a small position in this, but like half a position. But this is what's happening with these names. They're popping over, they're luring everybody in, and then they're coming back down. Now, whether or not this builds for another week or two and then goes higher or fizzles out remains to be seen. But that's what you're dealing with in this kind of environment. It really is. It's really what you're dealing with. Tesla. So let's take a look at Tesla. Yeah, I don't really, I don't really think there's much to say here. I mean, you've been in the same trading range since May, right? You've been in that same trading range. I've been batting it around a little bit, shorts, options, longs, options, stock calls, puts, shorts. The issue is that it's not breaking down and it's not breaking out. So the only positive thing that you could actually argue is this, that I see, is that the real positive thing would be, see that peak, and you see this peak? See how they're higher than one another? So let's get rid of these arrows now that you can see that. And so you just kind of go here and go, okay, well, so I'm kind of there, right? I kind of have a rising wedge. Let's remove that one. And then just kind of go clone this. Let's get this out of the way. And let's pull this one down. And then you kind of look at it and go, all right, well, that kind of fits. But even if that doesn't really fit, I have a higher low for now at least, right? Higher high, right? So I'm starting to turn. Now, how long that lasts, I don't know. But you need to, like, you go through stages with this with moving averages. And I think that that's really what I'm trying to get at so people understand it. These moving averages are starting to get closer and closer together. They're not this wide, right? So here, let me show you what I mean. Let's get rid of all these annotations. So see how these are spread wider and they're pointing up and they're curling? That tells you where you're going. So when you're in here and you're batting around and you're going sideways until you start pointing up, when you're here and you're batting around, right? And then you're going sideways. I mean, from November to August, this did nothing, right? But take a look right here and then go from there, right? You see what I'm getting at? So these are getting closer and closer together. So it's very possible that this is setting up something similar to this, that 4 or 5 months, then this turns around, takes off. It's possible. Keyword. What's going on, brother? So I hope that helps. What's going on, Allie? NTRA. Yeah, I'm still looking at Ally. I'm not there yet. I'm not so sure, Sean, that we just don't rally. I mean, I'm just not so sure. The amount of towels that people are throwing in the ring right now that I get from my DMs and my emails, even the trading room, some of it, like people are just so frustrated, so worn out. Like that's what bear markets do. And it's great because, that's how people get better. But when you start seeing it, it's really good stuff. To me, I'd want to see it break something as simplistic as this. Let me just show you. I mean, get above that line right here. Look at that base. I mean, the base is beautiful. So if you can get above that, did you have good volume? I don't really see any volume. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I get that. You could use this or you could use this wick. I'd probably use that wick at this point, 46. I'd probably use that wick. That's how I would do it. Ally, let's talk about Ally. Look, they're going to have major problems. I don't know how else to say it. They're going to have major problems. And we're going to have to just kind of see how it goes. Yeah. See how that goes. I don't think you're there yet, Sean. I like the idea. I think the idea is going to work. I'd want to see a rally. I started shorting some more things today that I think are just like really bad. Like I actually bought a bunch of these puts going out to September. I don't see how this company's around in 3 to 6 months. I just don't think it's going to be around in the same format. Somebody can always buy them, but I just don't see it. So we're going to have to see on that one. Yeah, I'm getting that from the room. I thought the room would like I thought the room might like this more, but I'm getting the sense that that's not what's going on. Yeah, I know. I'm screwing around with you, Steve. It's evening. But Brandon, I don't get it. Like, I got to tell you, I eventually the air is going to come out of some of these things. And whether it's now or whether this takes years, like, this is really simple. Okay. MicroStrategies, just to put this in perspective. Okay. So MicroStrategies market cap is $2.3 billion. All right. That's their market cap. Okay. So right now, when Bitcoin, I think their average cost is 30 something, right? Hold on, BUT, hold on. Okay, their average cost is 30 something. This thing's just bouncing around, trying to hold, right? Kind of forming one of these. This looks similar, okay? Their cost is up in here somewhere. I think it actually might be high, but it's here. So let's just say it's there, okay? So from here down to where you are right now, his loss is well over $1 billion, right? He's lost $1 billion on it. Okay, so just remember that. Now let me show you this. I'll show it on the weekly. I think it might be easier to do. Okay. This is when he said, we're going to buy Bitcoin right here, this day, this month, this week, right in here. We're going to buy Bitcoin, 122. Okay. So that's when he said it. Now, since then, you have earnings, right? This should have poked them out. Hold on one second. Let me see something. Okay. So if you look at this, since then, you have earnings. Now he's taken huge write-downs on the company's equity of the Bitcoin, right? And the bonds, right? That he's now got to pay interest on the bonds. Now, why am I pointing this out? Because at the end of the day, since this investment was made, the stock was $122. Earnings have collapsed, right? He's lost $1 billion, and the stock is still trading twice the value of where it was when it started. There's no way that this is sustainable. It's a matter of time. It's like saying this. It's like saying GameStop. How sustainable is this? It's not. And you can see every peak is just met by more selling. It peaks and then they buy puts. That's all they're doing. And eventually one day you'll come in and it'll be one day and it'll be $80 and people will wonder why. And then it'll be 40 and it won't make any sense to anybody. And then I'm going to be like, oh, it's over. Okay. Nobody thinks that GameStop should have gone from 20 to, 400. I mean, no one. So. Yeah, I try to do the middays for the room when they're needed. I try not to do them every day, because some days it's just there's nothing to say, and I don't want to give information. It's kind of a waste. Yeah, I like this. I'm still watching the 120. I don't see any reason to do anything with my position except write it out and deal with it. Can you go over PGA? That call out was for 155.819. Yeah. So let's take a look at that. Yeah. I mean, I don't really get it. Like if you want to do it, do it. I don't really see anything about that is just like super redeeming to me. From looking at it earlier, Dan, like look at these lines right here. Like there's just nothing there that is screaming, hey, this is something that I have to be in. I just don't see it that way. That's not really where my head goes when I look at that. So I don't know. I wouldn't be going crazy there. And let's see what else we have here. I don't see any reason to go nuts there. There we go. That's it. CLNN. I wouldn't own those calls. Doesn't mean they don't work. It just means it's not something I'm going to do. So, yep, this was one today, and you could see you're actually up a little bit after hours. It's actually doing a little bit better than I expected, frankly. But this is what you're watching. You're watching these lines, then you're breaking up, then you're coming back down, then you're breaking out again. I mean, that's really what you're going through. So do what you want with that. They can definitely work, but it's just not something that I'm, overly interested in. But this is what's working now. 1, 2, 3 day hits on like these little names, and you got to get in and out and go from there. So You have to see how you do tomorrow with earnings and that whole space. But if you see what earnings come in with those banks tomorrow, I mean, you have major banks reporting tomorrow. I want to get this out before we wrap up. No one's asked about them, but you have Wells Fargo tomorrow. That can move the market, right? These huge banks can move the market. Citigroup can move the market. If Citigroup has really bad numbers, it can move the market. So these kinds of things can absolutely crush them. So just keep that in mind. Goldman's not tomorrow, but you can see what that chart looks like. It's so funny. This one just had to trade up to 108 today. But BLK, I mean, do these look like things that you want to be, rushing into? Probably not. I mean, I can't imagine that these are all going to come out with like good reports. Progressive, that's going to be interesting tomorrow. Oh, that's not it. What is Progressive? PGR, right? So that's going to be interesting tomorrow. So all these companies come out with earnings tomorrow. They're going to tell you about the financial condition of the entire economy. So anything can happen after they report. You're almost better off contra trading. I mean, it's really coming down to the breakdowns are not being broken. They're not breaking. They're bouncing. The breakouts are not working. I can't tell you how many breakouts I bought that did not work. I mean, it's staggering how many I got caught in this week. And it is what it is. I mean, it's part of the game. So what I've been doing with that is I just changed the strategy. When the breakout doesn't work now, on the stop, I'm using staggered stops, right? I'm staggering them. So I'm cutting a portion immediately to ride the wave to deal with it. So it's working. That's working. If I could tell you how to get less frustrated, stagger your stops. So like one super tight stop and one with a little more room. Muted. Should be working, Brandon. Beam. Yep, take a look, Flim. So remember, retail sales tomorrow. Before we wrap this up, just remember that, retail sales. Yeah, I mean, these are the kinds of names you need to be looking at. That's the kind of trade you need to be looking at. Look, see how that's bouncing right here, getting ready, setting up to break out. That's exactly what you need to look for. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That can go, Flim, far. Yep. Yeah, I think that's the way that you trade those kinds of names. You've got to get in them, get in and out, man. What is that, gloss? Is that what you said? Maybe I have that wrong. Goss. Where did they all come from? I mean, anything like that that's got the name bio in it, these things are just going to keep going. Like, that's the space. Yeah, that's insane. Like, those kinds of moves, you just have to watch. But when they take out those higher highs, you just got to put them on and be willing to take that risk. I mean, that's your trade. That's actually not a bad trade. That 956, and you opened at 951, low of 943, got over that, boom, that was it. I mean, the moment you do that, it's risk on, and then if you take out that low, you just blow it out. But that's a great trade. Yep. Never looked back. Broke out, higher high, went, broke out, higher high. I mean, look at that. Even here, it's a great trade. No, I did not add to LABU today. It's showing me that my mic's on. People are saying that there's an issue with it. No, I did not. I added yesterday. I covered a lot of what I added yesterday. Actually, I covered the entire portion. I covered everything that I bought yesterday. I really don't like the market position here at all. I don't think there's any edge in this at all. If you ask, if you're like in the room, I couldn't have done less today. Added to CVA and didn't close any other positions. JP Morgan went against me as my short. I mean, very like, shit, that's what I did today. I like LABU a lot, but I have a lot of that in XBI. Dude, I've been drinking cans of energy drinks. I can't do this in the afternoon. Not after trading for 12, being up since 5. You know what? I've been looking at those. I really have been looking at this energy drink company, and look at this one too. Like, these are setting up. These are setting up. Like, look at that close. That's what I'm saying. It's so hard. Like, even though I shorted Apple, like, it's so hard here because look at this. Like, this is setting up to go. Like, that's the highest close that we've had since here. And that might even be higher than here. So what's that number? Let me just give, and I'll do CELH in a moment, but close 97 3/4, right? 97.74. All right, so you haven't closed that at that level in a year. It's been 12 months since you've been here, right? You're not at a 52-week high until you're over that. But that's what's going on with the space. It's crazy. So that energy, look, a Pepsi was doing that too, right? On that wedge line. So I think this can go. I really do. I really think this can go. There's a real clear stop if you don't want to wait. Just use the bottom of that wick. If you break the bottom of that wick, you just have to get out of the way. Because you can see the trend line here. Here, look, let me show you. I'm not even going to put moving averages in. You're above. You know where you're at, right? I mean, you could tell by just looking at it, right? Here. So, I mean, you really don't need them. You should be able to know exactly where they are just by looking at a chart. If you're like consolidating, and it's been more than 3 months, you should be above the 50. See, you're holding that wedge line, but there's this other line right here, and there's actually 2 of them, which is even better because the trajectory of these lines change. And as the trajectory changes, the chances of the breakout become greater because it means it's getting more buying pressure, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? So see how you're wedged right in there? If you break this wick line right here, you're out. So whether or not you want to just print it and see what happens, that's up to you. And then see if you can, or you can wait for 80, wait 5 points. But this can go. This can definitely go. Here, let me show you this on the volume by price. Look at that gap. If you get in that gap, that can go. DPZ. I like DPZ. So $400. There's your line, 402.77. Just can't break it. And this is getting toppy. RSI is getting toppy. GIS and Walmart. Yeah, I like GIS. I mean, I've been looking at that. Let's see that. Yep, you're just fighting that line. And now you're rolling back over. Look, if tech takes off again, no one's going to be buying a food company. You can just go through them all and just take a look at them. No one's going to be buying these, right? Who's going to want a cereal company? Nobody. Right? No one's going to want them. Walmart? Yeah, I'm watching that line. Remove all segment lines. So I'm watching that like a hawk. So comes up, rallies. We actually did a trade on this and made some money on it. Came back, held, lower high, higher low, broke here, couldn't close. Like, this is textbook stuff. right? So here's your test, comes up, comes back. You got to close over that. Can't close over that for about 2 weeks. Finally closes over that, gets you right on that line. I mean, retail sales tomorrow. Retail sales are decent. You might see some issues here tomorrow. That Target got beat up, and I don't think that it looks anywhere near as good as this does. So keep that in mind, because this is getting tighter. See it? So that's getting tighter. That I like. It's definitely on my list. No, I don't know anything about TH. But wow, they must be for sale. That's all I can think about. They must have put themselves up for sale or something. That's the only thing I could think of. I mean, that's a huge move. Let me just see something, see if I could find it real quick. I mean, there should be a glaring reason for it. I'm just searching them really quickly here just to see if I could find it. Let's just see if they would. Hospitality caters to gas and equipment, oil service companies. Company owns 14,000 beds across 26 different locations. I'm not sure why it's moving. Forward PE of 3. Oh, that'll do it. But I don't have anything as to any kind of that I see anything. Why stock pop 37%? So you're just saying that revenues are up. Let me just say. They raised their guidance substantially. That's what did it. So that's interesting. So that's sustainable. They raised guidance before earnings. That's what did it. And since then, it's just been going crazy. Look at that. Wow. So, yeah, you're welcome, buddy. All right, I am out of here. If you need anything, just email me here. If you're in the trading community, just reach out to me in the room, and we'll go from there. Oh, you're welcome, Yeti. Take a look at the megaphone pattern on MCD, McDonald's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these names, I might as well do this. We're here. A lot of these names, yeah, like you're saying that, right? It's kind of there. You're kind of there. It's not really a great megaphone, but it's there. Parts are there, but just keep that in mind. Like you need to get through this and see how this shakes out. Remember, retail sales and banks tomorrow. So that's it. If you need anything, reach out. Trade to win.